A pale dawn swept across the vast African reserve, where silence ruled like an ancient king and the breath of the land carried whispers of survival. A small boy, no older than 3, sat hunched on a dusty road, the hood of his faded blue jacket cloaking his tiny head. His sobs echoed through the morning stillness, each cry slicing the air like a blade. Just beyond the child's reach, a shadow moved, a colossal lion named Leo, his golden mane lit by the first rays of sunrise, eyes gleaming with a feral intensity born of a life forged in tooth and claw. The ground trembled with each powerful stride as Leo closed the distance, his roar rolling across the plains like thunder. But the roar wasn't a simple sound. It was a lament, a call from a creature who once knew the warmth of human hands and the comfort of milk fed by a trembling boy named Jake. The lion's circular pacing around the crying child formed a sacred dance of life and death. Wind played, with Leo's mane framing him as both protector and predator, each step measured, each breath deliberate. The boy's tears reflected in the lion's eyes, mirrors of two worlds colliding, the helplessness of a child abandoned in the wild and the primal power of a beast once saved by human kindness. And as the dust rose around them, it was as if the earth itself paused to watch, a moment suspended between the ancient laws of nature and the fragile hope of humanity. The wild tests the heart, but mercy carves paths even through the jaws of lions. This wasn't just a meeting. It was destiny etched in the bloodlines of both man and beast, a reminder that every soul, no matter how small or mighty, longs for a miracle. Keywords: animal rescue, emotional true story, survival, wild bond, animal miracle, touching animal story, heartwarming animal video. Humans are waiting. Prepare yourself for the wild to change your heart. Years before this chilling morning, a teenage park worker named Jake had stumbled upon a tiny cub curled beside the cold, lifeless body of his mother, gunned down by poachers. Jake's hands trembled as he lifted the shivering baby lion, eyes wide with innocence and terror. Through sleepless nights and endless feedings, Jake breathed life into the cub he named Leo, whispering promises of safety as they sat huddled in the dark. Yet even then, Jake knew a truth sharper than any claw. For Leo to truly live, he had to belong to the wild, not to the world of men. When Leo grew strong enough, Jake placed him in the care of a lioness who had just given birth. The lioness, fierce yet gentle, accepted the orphan as her own, licking his tiny head with a tenderness that melted Jake's weary heart. As months turned into years, Jake watched Leo grow into a powerful male, his muscles rippling beneath his thickening mane, his eyes burning with the fire of survival. Jake knew every fight Leo won was a story written in scars, every roar a testament to his strength. And though Jake's heart ached with worry each time Leo disappeared beyond the acacia trees, he also swelled with pride. Leo wasn't just surviving. He was thriving, a miracle among miracles. In the tapestry of the wild, every life saved weaves a stronger bond between beast and man. As the sun rose and fell over the years, Leo's story became a silent hymn sung by the winds across the savannah, a hymn of second chances and the silent prayers of those who dare to care. Keywords: dramatic wildlife rescue, human and animal connection, viral YouTube story. This isn't just a story, it's a cry from the soul of nature. On this fateful morning, the world shifted when Leo awoke hungry and restless. His massive paws pressed into the soft earth as he stretched beneath the paling stars, muscles rippling with deadly grace. Yet before he could slip into the hunt, a sound cut through the morning breeze, the sharp, panicked cries of a child. Leo's ears perked. A scent touched something buried deep within him, stirring half-forgotten memories of warmth, milk, and a boy who once saved him. Drawn by an invisible thread, Leo prowled to the dirt road where he found the sobbing child. His eyes, bright as molten amber, fixed on the tiny figure as he circled with deliberate intensity, the dust swirling around his massive frame. But beneath the surface of his roars, something deeper rumbled, a protective fury that had no place in the cold calculations of nature. Suddenly, Leo froze, nostrils flaring as a new scent tainted the air, another lion hidden, stalking the boy from the shadows. With a roar that split the morning open like a struck drum, Leo launched forward. His giant body sailed over the terrified child, claws unsheathed, landing with a crash upon the intruder. The fight was savage, primal, a clash of titans that shook the ground. Roars and snarls filled the air, each strike echoing the eternal battle for life in the wild. But in those heart-stopping moments, it became clear Leo wasn't fighting for territory or pride. He was fighting for the child, for the promise made long ago in a ranger's trembling hands. The wild remembers kindness, and sometimes the fiercest heart guards the smallest soul. When the dust settled, Leo stood tall, his mane streaked with the sweat of battle, eyes scanning the horizon as if to challenge the world itself to come for his charge. Keywords: animal rescue, touching animal story, heartwarming animal video. Survival: the morning sun cut through the thin mist like a blade of fire as the clash of titans thundered across the African reserve. Leo's massive claws slashed at the second lion, each blow landing with a sickening thud that echoed in the emptiness of dawn. Dust billowed around them like storm clouds, and for a brief, terrifying moment it looked like the second lion might escape, but Leo, with the fury of 1,000 storms, pinned him once more. Meanwhile, far down the dirt road, Jake's jeep barreled forward, tires kicking up pebbles as he fought to control his panic. His eyes widened at the sight ahead, too. Lions locked in a brutal dance of power, and a small boy crouched mere feet from their deadly ballet. A nauseating wave of dread rolled over Jake's stomach. His heart slammed against his ribs as he screamed into the empty cab. "Oh my God, how did a child get in here?" The savanna around him seemed to freeze in time as he floored the gas pedal, the jeep's engine roaring like a caged beast desperate to reach the child before the worst could unfold. Every breath tasted of fear, every second stretched into eternity as the fate of the boy and the future of the reserve hung by the thinnest of threads. When the wild rages, the heart of man must be faster than fear, braver than fate. Keywords: animal rescue, emotional true story, wild bond, heartwarming animal video, dramatic wildlife rescue. Humans are waiting. Prepare yourself for the wild to change your heart. Jake's jeep skidded to a halt, gravel spraying like sparks as he took in a sight that almost made him faint. The second lion, wounded and limping, fled from Leo's furious onslaught. The larger lion roared with primal triumph before turning, his gaze back to the terrified child. For a heartbeat, time stood still. Jake's memories slammed into him like a tidal wave. Leo, just a helpless cub sobbing beside his dead mother. Jake, young and desperate, staying up nights to feed and comfort. Him, the bond forged in the fires of grief and survival. He'd raised Leo, taught him to fight, hoped he'd thrive, but never dreamed he'd witness this moment, his lion protecting a human child with deadly precision. As Jake approached, his hands white-knuckled on the wheel, Leo lay down beside. The sobbing boy, his massive body forming an impenetrable shield. His amber eyes swept the horizon, every muscle coiled like a loaded spring ready to strike down any threat. It wasn't a fight over territory or prey. Leo had chosen to stand guard over the child. And for Jake, that realization cracked something. Open deep inside, a flood of awe and wonder so intense it left him gasping. The fiercest beasts sometimes remember the gentlest touches. Mercy echoes even through roars. Keywords: touching animal story, survival, animal miracle, emotional. True story, human and animal connection. This isn't just a story, it's a cry from the soul of nature. Jake killed the jeep's engine, silence crashing down heavier than any roar. His hands trembled as he opened the door, each step across the dirt road a prayer that Leo would remember their bond. The lion's immense head swung toward him, eyes like molten gold, intense and ancient. Jake's breath caught as those eyes searched his soul, weighing him as if the fate of the world hung on the outcome. Leo rose in a slow, deliberate motion, the power of his muscles rippling beneath his golden fur, but instead of pouncing, he moved several yards away. It was both a warning and a blessing. Leo trusted Jake, but he'd never let harm come to the Boy, Jake swallowed his fear and edged forward, whispering reassurances as he knelt beside the child. The moment he gathered the trembling boy into his arms, everything changed. The boy wailed, sobs tearing through the quiet like gunshots, his tiny body shaking with terror. Jake hugged him close, heart breaking at the thought of what horrors the boy must have faced. He whispered, "It's okay, little guy. You're safe now," even as tears stung his eyes. The wild protects its own, but sometimes it lends its strength to those who dare to love. Keywords: dramatic wildlife rescue, animal rescue, heartwarming animal video, emotional true story. An animal is calling, will you answer? Driving back to the ranger station, every bump on the dirt road felt like a test of his fragile control. The boy's sobs faded into exhausted hiccups as he slumped in Jake's arms. But the park worker's mind was a hurricane of questions. Who had left this child in such danger? Why? He knew the fastest way to find answers was to scour the security footage. When he reached the office, he propped the boy safely beside him and began reviewing the cameras that lined the reserve's fences. His eyes burned as he watched grainy footage of an old, battered car pulling up to the perimeter. A young man sat behind the wheel, engine idling, while a young woman stepped out cradling the child. She searched frantically along the fence until she found a weak spot, then squeezed through, dirt staining her clothes. She knelt on the road, kissed the boy's forehead tenderly, tears glinting in the early light. Jake's heart twisted as she slipped back through the fence, climbed into the car, and disappeared into the dawn, leaving the child alone and searching the empty road for parents who would never return. Sometimes love must break its own heart to give a child hope. The wild sees the tears even the world ignores. Keywords: viral YouTube story, touching animal story, heartwarming animal video, survival, animal rescue. A heavy stillness hung over the ranger station as Jake slumped in his chair. Eyes glazed over the footage of the woman pressing a desperate kiss on the child's forehead before vanishing into the dawn. The question churned inside him like a storm. Why leave him here, inside the reserve, a place of predators in peril? Did she believe the security cameras would ensure he was found quickly? Did she think a ranger would miraculously appear to save him? The answers slipped through Jake's fingers like sand, each possibility more haunting than the last. He stared at Noah, the boy who had calmed enough to nibble the food Jake had prepared. In the warm kitchen light, Noah's cheeks were still pink from crying, but his eyes now glistened with innocent curiosity. Jake forced a soft smile, kneeling beside him. "Can you tell me where your mommy and daddy are, Noah?" he asked gently, heart breaking at the small shake of the boy's head and the silent point toward the endless savanna beyond the window. Sometimes the wild offers shelter even when the world turns its back, and in the eyes of the lost, we see the soul of all humanity. Keywords: emotional true story, animal rescue, heartwarming animal video, dramatic wildlife rescue. Humans are waiting. Prepare yourself for the wild to change your heart. The weight of what lay ahead pressed heavily on Jake's shoulders as he called the police. Every ring of the phone felt like a countdown to a future he couldn't bear to imagine. Noah, alone, shuffled into a cold children's home, his only memory a blurry image of lions roaring. As the officers arrived, Noah perched on Jake's lap watching animal videos on a cracked phone screen. The child's laughter rang out like music when images of lions flashed by, his tiny hand pointing eagerly. "Lion!" he roared in his sweet, scratchy voice. The officers exchanged soft smiles and one said, "He really likes those lions, huh?" "You could say that," Jake replied, a spark of fierce protectiveness igniting in his chest. When he asked what would happen if Noah's parents weren't found, the words "children's home" hit him like a punch to the gut. Noah deserved better. Before his fear could drown his courage, Jake blurted, "I'll look after him. Until you find his family, he'll stay with me." His voice trembled, but his resolve was steel. Love grows in the wildest places, and sometimes it chooses you before you know you're ready. Keywords: human and animal connection, touching animal story, viral YouTube story, emotional true story. This isn't just a story, it's a cry from the soul of nature. The next days crawled by with a quiet agony as Jake tried to piece Together, a life for Noah in the ranger's cabin. He read bedtime stories by lantern light, patched up old clothes to fit the small boy, and took him out on morning drives to see the lions. Noah's squeals of delight were a balm on Jake's weary soul, especially the morning they watched a pride of baby lions tumbling in the dew-wet grass. "Look, Noah, baby lions," Jake had called, and the boy clapped his hands, face alight with wonder. But then the call came. Noah's parents couldn't be found. He was to be taken away, his short time at the reserve to become just a fleeting memory. The thought of Noah's bright eyes dulled by loneliness shattered Jake's heart. That night he sat awake under the stars, the haunting roars of distant lions drifting on the warm wind. He made his choice. We don't choose the ones we love. The wild teaches us that sometimes they're placed in our arms by fate itself. Keywords: survival, animal rescue, heartwarming animal video, emotional true story. An animal is calling. Will you answer? The months that followed were a blur of paperwork and sleepless nights as Jake fought to become Noah's legal father. He learned how to comfort nightmares, how to soothe fevers, and how to find laughter in the smallest moments. Then finally, a warm afternoon brought a phone call with life-changing words. He was officially Noah's dad. That evening he loaded his son into the Jeep for a sunset drive to celebrate. The plains stretched before them in a golden sea as shadows lengthened into night. They stopped near a familiar place, the road where Noah had first met his guardian lion. There, lounging in the tall grass, was Leo, his massive frame regal in the fading light. The lion lifted his head lazily, eyes locking onto the vehicle with a calm recognition. Jake pointed. "See that lion, Noah? That's Leo, he's the one. Who saved you?" Noah pressed his face to the window, his little voice rumbling with a playful roar. Jake smiled through the tears blurring his eyes, knowing that one day he'd share every piece of this wild, miraculous story with his son. The wild holds miracles for those who dare to love without fear, and sometimes it gives them family. Keywords: dramatic wildlife rescue, animal miracle, heartwarming animal video, viral YouTube story. Did you feel the power of this story? What would you have done in Jake's place? Left Noah's fate to strangers or taken him in as your own? Have you ever seen a lion or felt the wild call to your heart? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, like this video, subscribe, and join us for more true stories of the unbreakable bond between animals and humans. Love always needs courage. Until next time, thank you and have a wonderful day.